certainly worthwhile. So tonight, the first order of business is the approval of tonight's agenda. Can I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda? I have a motion and a second. Any discussion or issues to that agenda? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That passes. Thank you. Next, I need a motion to approve the Board of Education meeting minutes from February 1st.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion or changes to those minutes? All right, the motion is to approve the minutes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That passes. The next item on the agenda is Patron Comments. I have a little bit spiel here that I need to read just so I understand it. It says that every regularly scheduled board meeting, citizens may make a statement or address the board concerning issues pertaining to the Rockwood School District. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. In practice, if a large group is represented by a spokesperson or persons, we allow that group 5 minutes to make their presentation. To address the board, please just complete a blue Patron comment card prior to the start of the board meeting and give it to a communications department staff member. Citizens will be called to the lectern by the board president to make comments. The board values and appreciates you taking the time to provide your comments. General practice of the board is not to respond to your comments at this time, except to ask for clarification if needed. If appropriate, the district will provide a written response within a reasonable period of time. Please note that matters related to employee negotiations, legal issues, real estate, personnel, and student matters are reserved for the board discussion during closed session. If a number of people are speaking on the same issue, we ask that you please not simply repeat the same comments from the previous speakers. All right, so I did my legal duty and I read that. We do have one tonight, and I think Deborah, I hope I get this right, Gross is going to speak to us. Welcome.
Hello, thank you very much.
Welcome.
My name is Debbie Gross. I live in Ellisville, and I didn't time this, so I don't know if it's 3 minutes or not, but I hope you'll indulge me. It's not too long. Dear Rockwood School District Board, are you aware that there's a sport, wrestling, that regularly excuses kids from school for several days a year just to travel to other areas of Missouri to participate in scheduled sports matches? I'm not talking about after school or before school or weekends or evenings. I am talking about during the school day. This is done under the auspices of school sanction when wrestling is not even funded by the district. I call it a violation of federal government's Department of Education rules. The kids should be in school. Not only that, but the kids are made to show up at the school in the morning so they can be counted, ensuring that the district collects its daily federal government funding for each kid. I seriously wonder if the U.S. Department of Education would support this procedure. I doubt it. This tax robbery should be reported to the federal government, but the more important point here is that the kids should be in school, learning. I am appalled that Rockwood School District would allow this nonsense. There's I no longer have kids of my own in the school system. I doubt that any taxpayer would support this occurrence. In addition, the wrestling program practices from 6:30 in the morning to 7:30 and from every afternoon after school till 5:30 or later, depending on what the coach decides. He has no regard for the children or the kids or their parents. The coach has absolutely no regard for other people's lives. The practice schedule included every single day of the school winter holiday, with no days off except for Christmas Day. And the schedule includes practice or matches from 8 a.m. on Saturday and usually Sunday till 8 p.m. nearly every weekend. The kids were just invited to attend a state tournament which would have excused them from school for 2 whole days. In fact, that is this Thursday and Friday. Just to watch the tournament, not to participate. And of course, this time spent would have included complete brainwashing by the coaches to participate in the sport during the next school year. Tell me, when are the kids supposed to do their homework or study? Seriously, when did wrestling, which is not really a true sport in any sense of the word, become more important than school? And the kids are very nearly forced and blackmailed into participation in the sport by the coaches. If a kid chooses not to participate in wrestling, The boy is virtually ostracized by the coaches and very nearly blackballed and barred from other sports, such as football. I call this harassment. Everything about this is wrong, but the most egregious thing about the whole thing is that the kids are taken out of school to participate in wrestling while not being given enough time to sufficiently do their schoolwork, which is ultimately so much more important to their future. The values being taught by the wrestling program are entirely wrong. One child I know of is planning to drop out of several challenge-level courses next year, which he's entirely capable of handling, only because he can't keep up with those classes because of wrestling. What kind of school system is this? It is no wonder that many parents choose to send their kids to private school, where grades and schooling are given more consideration than the sports programs. This is way out of hand. Unfortunately, the parents of this very gifted young man do not have the financial means to send their child to private school. The reason I am writing is that I figured most people would have no idea that this travesty exists unless they had a child in this sport in high school. And that, I am sure, is a very small percentage of the overall population. But this does beg another question. Are there other programs that go under the guise of school programs that actually have onerous requirements that are hurting their children's overall schooling and education? I think there should be an overall examination of some of the extracurricular, supposedly school-sanctioned programs, be they sports-related or other types of activities. School should come first. Thank you very much.
Can I ask you a question? Ma'am, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are you talking about one of our high school teams? Is that
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
I didn't figure many people knew about it. Who do I give this to?
Maybe get right there, thank you. Thank you, Dr. All right, thank you for your comments this evening. The next item on the agenda is superintendent and board comments, and I will turn this over instead of for Dr. Knows to Dr. Lisa.
Thank you very much. So obviously I am not Dr. Kados, the superintendent, but I'm still going to have some superintendent comments. So as always, we have some great exciting things happening around our school district that are fun to report out. We have several Rockwood teachers that were selected to perform with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra in a program known as Extra Credit on stage at the Powell. Rockwood educators were provided with the opportunity to rehearse and perform a concert under the direction of SLSO resident conductor Gemma New on February 2nd. We have several Rockwood schools celebrating Black History Month, and I'm sure you've seen some of those activities going on around our schools. Eureka High Junior Kiera Isaac and 3 of her classmates unveiled a trivia game called Who Am I? On February 6th. They put up posters around the school, and students would guess the identity of the person depicted. This goal was to inform and highlight some of the most influential African American figures. And one more just to highlight, 2 Rockwood librarians have won awards from the Missouri Association of School Librarians. That's Margaret Sullivan, Rockwood lead librarian and staff librarian at Rockwood Summit and Marquette High Schools. Won the MASL Special Service Award, given to a person who has rendered significant service to school libraries. And we also have Rockwood Summit librarian Elaine McKenna, who's receiving the MASL Bright Idea Award. She was nominated for management of the library's 3D printer program. That's all I have.
Good, thank you. Are there any other board comments?
I do have two donations. Quantigen Technology LLC, $15,000 for the use of in ASR research. And get ready for this. The Quantigen machine will allow students in ASR to run a variety of genomic tests, including sequencing, fragment analysis, and gene amplification. And if you're still with me, currently students have to partner with a local university or college to run these tests. This will eliminate that constraint on student research. And the second one is a donation by Laura Lee and James Mondell, this Laura Lee, monetary for $1,000. donation to Heart of the Falcon Fund to assist students in need. Laura Lee and James Mondell donated $1,000 in the form of a check, you gave the check number, to the Heart of the Falcon Fund at Rockwood Summit High School to assist students in need. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kennedy.
And I'm going to say something about that, since our name's on that little form there, which for the last couple of years, my husband and I have donated anonymously. The Heart of the Falcon is a program at Rockwood Summit High School that helps all of our Summit students, and it's a great cause. We look around in our own community and realize that you could write checks to other organizations, but kids in our own backyard need help. And this is the first time my husband kind of insisted that our name be attached to it, because he feels that if people see that people like Rondels can donate, anybody should be donating, and everyone should be donating any amount that you can to help kids in their own backyard. So every elementary and middle school and high school in our district has great things that you can donate to, so I highly encourage you to do that very thing. I also want to say that Randy and I had the opportunity to go to that, what was that called? Innovation Day. And it was really cool. Shelley, thank you very much, and your staff. Because it was cool, all these different school districts came and observed our AMP and GIC class, and seeing those kids up on top of that tiny house, and seeing the girls inside the tiny house doing everything that the guys were doing, which we know we can do anyway, but really well done. Really well done. So appreciate that time. Randy?
Absolutely. Well, I was just going to say it was great. I think it speaks volumes to what we're doing in Rockwood when you have that many school districts, and I understand there's a waiting list to even get into this. So, I mean, that's huge, I think, and I think people just are really interested in the program. And I was going to add that, you know, the teachers, talking to a couple of them, you know, it sounds like it was a real struggle to start this program, and, you know, they endured, powered through it, and, you know, I think now it's a success, and, you know, I think that, you know, hats off to them too. I mean, this was, nobody knew what we were doing. I mean, this is all new, so they really are doing a great job out there. And the kids seem to, there's a lot of camaraderie being built, team building, confidence. I heard a couple kids say that, you know, they have confidence now that they didn't have, because they're doing things that they really didn't think they could do, but they are. And I think that that's huge. So, great program.
Any other board member comments tonight? I'd just like to add one more time our thanks to Marquette High School for hosting us here tonight, and for the tour of the new science labs. If you haven't had a chance to see them, these are really impressive facilities, and Marquette's done a great job implementing them, so it was very good to see them. Any other comments tonight? All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda items. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda items as submitted. A motion and a second. Any discussion of those items?
No, but I need to abstain from 8.14.
All right, the motion is to approve those items. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And we have one abstention for 8.14. That carries. Thank you. Next item here is the regular agenda items. The first one is the sale of general obligation bonds. I need a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the offering of sale for general obligation bonds for the Rockwood R6 school district. A motion.
Second.
A second. And I think our CFO, Paul Northington, and Michelle Bach. Welcome.
Yes, thank you this evening. And as you mentioned, Michelle Bach with Piper Jeffrey is joining us as well. This evening, we're requesting board resolution for authorization to offer a competitive sale approximately $62.8 million in general obligation bonds. If approved this evening, the public sale is scheduled for 10 a.m. on March the 1st, and these bids will be conducted electronically. We'll work in coordination with our financial advisor, Piper Jeffrey, to review and deliver the bids to the board meeting that evening on March 1st with a recommendation. The resolution also authorizes our bond counsel, who is Gilmore and Bell, Jason Terry with Gilmore Barrows here tonight as well. And they are responsible for preparing all the necessary documents to complete the sale and issuance of bonds. Again, items that will be funded through this authorization are some of the projects that we've talked about over the last couple of board meetings. It's the addition, the new Eureka Elementary School, the high school, Eureka High School STEM addition, the innovative spaces at our 19 elementary schools, technology expansion of the one-to-one initiative, and then furnishing another incidental cost along with putting projects together. That will pretty well wrap up the $62.8 million authorization for this evening, or for this year's issue. Our plan is to come back about this time next year and request the additional 32.7 that will complete the issue that was approved by the voters in April of last year.
That's good. So these are all pursuant to the 2017 ballot?
That's correct. So this 62.8 is part of that, and we'll come back for the remaining about this time next year.
Any questions about this? Very well explained. Thank you. All right. The motion is to approve the resolution authorizing the offering of sale of those bonds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That carries. Thank you very much. The next one is bond issue purchases and related contracts. I need a motion to approve bond issue purchases and related contracts for issues between $7,500 and $150,000 as submitted. A motion.
Second.
And a second. Welcome, Mr. Friend.
Good evening. Have a couple items up for approval this evening. All right. First is for Horner Associates. They are the architect for the commons and infill floor projects we're doing at Marquette High School as well as Rockwood Summit High School. We had brought them for approval earlier in the year for $23,500. As we've gone through the design process with the school buildings, the electrical scope, what we want done in some of these spaces and what's been requested by the administrators has increased. So we feel the need to go ahead and have an electrical engineer included on this project to make sure that we're comfortable with the design level and what's being put into these spaces.
So can you give a very brief, just like refresh our memories about what it is exactly that you're going to do? Let's just, pick Summit and Marquette, right?
Correct.
So what exactly are you doing now?
Correct. When these facilities were originally built, they did not have a dedicated theater facility like we're standing in now, so it was kind of a multi-use area. Since then, obviously, we've got great theater facilities now, and we've got two commons areas with these huge holes in the middle of them. It really limits what they're able to do with their setup for lunch, as well as other activities. I know that we have had some instances where people have tripped. So it's been a safety concern in the past, and it will also really increase the functionality of those spaces.
Gotcha. All right, thanks.
Chris, are you going to put electricals on the floor?
We are. That was one of the requests that came after we started design. As you start getting more and more input, obviously they have fairs and they have different events in there that require electricity. So yes, we're going to put 4 outlets in.
Okay, one more.
Yes, the second one is for Horner and Associates again. Same, very similar situation. This is for the design of the innovative STEM areas at Blevins, Wild Horse, and Fairway. We didn't think the level of electrical design was very heavy when we originally started these projects. As we worked with the principals, got further into the design, there was a little more electrical work desired than what we originally thought. So this is to add some electrical engineering to their design cost.
Chris, both of these stay within our budget though, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Even though we're adding additional for the electrical engineering?
Yes.
So do you think this is going to be the case with the rest of these then, going forward?
No. The difference with the 3 projects, the Blevins, Fairway, and Wild Horse, we're pretty much self-performing everything else at the other elementary schools. These 3 schools have an identical footprint, and the location that was chosen to put these spaces in is within the library, and it requires a little heavier construction than what we're comfortable with completing in a timely manner. So we reached out, and our intention is to, we're actually currently out to bid now for these 3 projects as summer projects that will be performed by a general contractor.
All right, the motion is to approve the bond issue purchases as described. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That passes. I think we have one more. Need a motion to approve the bond issue purchases and related contracts over $150,000 from JF Electric Incorporated, doing business as JF Telecom, for district-wide fire alarm installation for the fiscal year 17-18 bond issue. Motion and a second. Chris.
Okay, this is the general contract for the fire alarm upgrades in the Eureka area that were required by the fire marshal. These are affecting locations at Blevins and Eureka Elementary Schools. This is basically taking the existing fire alarm system, upgrading it to new standards where there's actually voice that comes over the horns as they sound in the event of a fire.
So it's unique to Eureka, or the other quadrants going to have the same thing happen?
The Eureka Fire District is the only one so far that has required us to go back and do this. This stems from a fire alarm panel upgrade that we did as part of bond issue 15. The fire marshal at that time had requested that, if we passed another bond issue, he would like to see the other systems in Eureka done. And this finishes our upgrade that he's required us to do.
So high school's already been done, so is Gagey.
Gagey will be done as part of their addition project, and Eureka High School has been complete.
Is LaSalle counted as part of Eureka?
It does not. It is not in the Eureka city limits, and it is the fire district there is Metro West.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good idea to do it anyway. But almost all fire alarms are going to go to a voice enunciation system, so let's get Eureka done. But in the planning process, you're almost certainly going to have to do the others in coming years. All right, everybody. The motion is to approve the bond issue for the fire alarm upgrades. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That carries.
I had one quick question, just clarification. I thought there was another agenda item in the first group of bond issue approvals for ICS construction.
It was not on the list. I don't know if that was inadvertently left out or was only those.
Yes, it is. ICS Construction Services. 41,900.
Correct.
It's the second page. Second, 2017.
Well, the second file had 2 pages.
Right.
Yes.
Is that your owner?
Well, it was submitted and we did vote on it, but why don't you go ahead and describe it anyway? Let's move on.
Okay, this is also part of the elementary innovative spaces that are part of bond issue 17. As I stated earlier, we're doing a lot of self-performing with our own technicians as far as renovating these spaces. However, this is a contract for some flooring installation in those areas to expedite the process. It is strictly the purchase of LVT tile and the installation of that tile in those spaces at Bowles, Ellisville, Green Pines, Kerrsville, Kellis, and Stanton, Utah.
What about the other schools?
We've done a handful ourselves already. We've basically broken them off in groups of 5 or 6, but we've done a group of 5. We're finishing those up right now. And then this next group, to keep things moving in a timely fashion, we felt we needed to contract out the flooring part.
Thanks.
Just to make sure we stay clean on this, can I get a motion to approve this third item? A motion and a second. Any discussion on this last item? We should have gone through it and probably would have been included, but let's make sure we don't make mistakes. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, thank you.
Thanks
for catching.
Thank you.
Next item is a discussion item about the Missouri Outstanding Boards Education Award, and I think probably Tammy's going to take the lead on that one.
Yes, before you have the first draft of we met and went through after each of us have met with partners in the district and picked their brains and gathered information. So we brought before you the first draft of all of the information for the application. So we would ask that you read through it, see if there's any holes that we've left out. We still need to write the narratives, and as Laura Lee says, make it pretty for the document itself. But we're on target to meet the March 1st deadline to bring it to the board. Are there any questions from the board as you look through it that you see gaps or things that we may have missed? And I really want to say thank you to the people in the district, Chris and Paul and Dan and Rick, Katie, everybody who's reached out to us and volunteered their time and efforts to get us the information that we needed to make this application.
Have you settled on any specific area that you're going to?
Yeah, it's physical. What we have decided on the physical and environmental resources,
Okay.
and the categories are the quality learning environment, safety and security, environmental practices, technology, long-range facility planning, and community use of facilities. And
Also, so those 4 items are sub-bullets to the area that you're applying.
Correct.
Okay, I misunderstood that. Good, good.
they're all under physical and environmental resources. There's 5 areas.
Yeah, under the common area usage, community use, it's a very good write-up in there. The one comment is I don't know if any other pair of districts, and maybe there are, I don't know about,
In Minnesota.
that have done this, but I would really point out that this was groundbreaking stuff, and like I said, Mike Seppi's not here tonight, but Mike was the spearhead of that.
Yeah.
If there's a way to kind of put in there what a great community thing this was and beyond the borders of our own district, I think that's an outstanding point.
Yeah, so that was my section here, and I know we met with Mike, and this is just a listing of the things that Community Ed has done. As Tammy points out, I mean, I feel like mine is a very rough draft because we're trying to get everything to you guys, at least for you to look at, but there are certainly tons of things here that we can add into this. But yes, Mike did reiterate that there's actually a Community Ed program in Minneapolis that they went, south of Minneapolis, that they went and visited to bounce ideas off of each other. But you raised a very good point, and you need to put that in there about being known in the Midwest, I believe.
And that's an excellent point. That's going to be all in the narrative that we're going to be collecting. So we've collected the data. Now we need to write it all up.
Okay.
But that's a good point. We want to make sure to stress that.
Yeah, I would encourage the rest of the board, when you get those, give that a good hard read. This is going outside our district, representing what things are happening here. So please give that the attention it deserves.
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
First, I want to thank you all because I know you guys have put, I know it's like a million miles away. I know you guys have put a ton of work into this, and for those of us who aren't on this committee working on this, we appreciate all the time and effort that you guys have put into this for sure. I know, I mean, just look at this, it's awesome. I did have a question, now I've lost it. Well, thank you. So the deadline is March 1st?
No, March 9th is the deadline.
Okay.
So we're working backwards and
Yep.
backward design to have it by March 1st so that by March 2nd, all the board members can sign that night and we can have it in the mail or off to them before the March 9th deadline.
Okay, I thought of my question. Once the narrative's written up and it's all pretty, are you going to shoot this
Yes.
back out to the people and have them, the experts? Awesome.
Yes.
Perfect.
That's why we want everything
Yeah.
done.
Yep.
A lot of work, thank you.
So I want to thank both Paul and Chris also for their information that they submitted to me. I was sick that day, could not meet with you, and so they were kind enough to respond to some questions that I sent them. So thank you.
And I mean, echo her, what I said about Mike Seppi and Deb Kettering. I mean, I sent them information. Obviously, I met with them too, but I mean, they were great. You just laid it all out. So thank you for that to them as well.
We realize how busy you all are, and it's one more thing on your plate.
Yeah.
But we appreciate it.
Yeah, it's the outstanding board award, but gosh, you make us look good.
It really is true. I mean,
It's
it's
not about us, it's more of a.
Good.
I'm not supposed to have it, but the board on there.
So for us that aren't on the committee, what can we do to help you from now on?
Go from now on?
Read these.
I think a pretty
You
thorough,
need us to take it to the post office.
yeah, pretty thorough review as it comes out. If there's anything that you can add or anything you see that you might wonder if that's completely accurate, this is the time to make sure we get it right.
Obviously, we want to have as accurate information coming in as we possibly can.
Exactly.
Just the process of going through the criteria, really, we had great conversations about that. Okay, well, do we have this, do we have that, should we be looking at this? So hopefully this work will influence somehow how we do our work in the future as a board. Make it better.
Lynn had said this at the beginning, and I have to totally agree that this has become a really good assessment for us, a self-assessment to look at what we've done as a district, what we're doing really well, and where there might be some gaps that we need to put some focus. So it's been a great process.
The next item is the proposed agenda for the March 1st board meeting. I probably as always, there's that's 2 weeks from tonight. Everybody has a chance for about a week to add or give additional input to any of those items. I suspect we'll be talking about it in the board awards that we were just talking about tonight. There'll be some other things that are going to come up in presentations as well. So if you have anything you'd like to see added or information to it, you've got about a week to do that. Please try and do it before next Wednesday.
Well, I would think we should put that, why don't we put that board award back on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll need to discuss that again and bring it to the it's a week before it's due. Okay. All right, future agenda presentations and events to attend. There's a link on there. There's a lot going on in the district, especially as we get into springtime, lots of school plays, academic assemblies, lots of things that are coming up. So I would encourage all board members to try and attend as many of those as you can. And as I've said before, please don't just show up at a school, but if you have an opportunity to call the school and attend, they're always happy to have you. They're always very gracious about it as well. So please try and do that. Are there any other items for tonight's board meeting? I would like to thank Dr. Counts for filling in very well for Eric tonight. We're going to tell him that he doesn't even bother to come to these anymore. That's right. He's not here, and he got stuck with both the awards and the board meeting the same night. So thank you very much.
Thanks for allowing me to be here.
Any other comments for tonight? Then we will adjourn.